Welcome. My name is Jeffrey Miller. I work for ICC here in Columbus. I've been doing consulting for about 20 years, and along the way I've picked up a few things. How many of you have heard of the website cbusdevs.com? Couple? I understand why, because it's a crappy website and I don't talk about it much, but it's designed, I set it up a few years ago when we were doing the Downtown Developer Book Club, as a way to kind of keep track of all these little gatherings and conferences and user groups around the Columbus area. And I thought, well, I don't know of anything out there, so I'll build one. And so I built a website. It's called cbusdevs.com. It's just a little launch pad. Right now it's a single page. We've got things like user groups, conferences and events, and other groups. You can see Matt Grove's Twitter little list there. I've got a Twitter list that I maintain. So you can see basically that there's several just basic entries. And it's just a hopping off point. It's to get you where you're going to go. So I started this in 2011. And I'll be honest, I haven't really maintained it very much. Number one, I didn't want to set up a content management system for this basic single page, right? And number two, I didn't have a lot of time to keep updating every month. When's the meeting going to happen? I can tell you that it's going to be the third Wednesday or the fourth Thursday or whatever, but I don't want to sit there and edit it all the time. So I recently came across something that I looked at before, and that's basically the topic tonight. It's called TiddlyWiki. And so rather than use a content management system, I've decided to rewrite cbusdevs in TiddlyWiki. Now it sounds kind of funny, it's got a funny name, but Tiddly is, or the pieces of the wiki are made up of tiddlers, and it's not like a full page, they're actually little snippets of things. And it's a wiki that is not based on the server, it's actually based in your browser. And the nice thing is it doesn't need any server components, but it can also run under Node.js. So it's been completely rewritten over the last couple of years. And you can actually download the entire wiki from your browser just by clicking save. Now, this is an offline copy because I didn't know if I'd have internet access. But if we were on cbusdevs.com, you can just hit this save button, and it downloads the entire content of the site into a single HTML file that you can edit. Not that you want to edit cbusdevs.com, but you can think of a million uses for this. So TiddlyWiki was created by Jeremy Ruston. He's from the UK, and that's where the Tiddly term comes from. That's tiddler is kind of a local vernacular or slang that they use to talk about small things, you know, little kids or other small things. So I'm going to show you a few samples of this. Right from the bat, you get some edit tools. So has anybody ever used MediaWiki or some of these other wiki products? A few? If you've ever edited wiki content, it's kind of clumsy. I mean, number one, you got to learn this syntax, and the editing experience is sometimes just a text area, so you don't necessarily get a rich editing experience. I'm going to show you this. You click the little pencil icon, and you instantly, in the same browser page, it's a single page application, which is really cool. You get a lot of tools here, and so this is my welcome tiddler. But before we do that, let's look at some other samples. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Let's go there. Okay, so if you've ever edited a wiki, you've got wiki text markup. And it looks pretty basic. You've got things like a list of links. It's an unordered list, you've got some bullets. So I'm going to show you that, so we can build it. And so you see the wiki text, and then we have this sample becomes, if I save it, I just click check, and then we've got a new tiddler. Now what you didn't maybe think about is I created new content from a template. So if I were to do that again, on the next one, we've got a list of samples, so I'll click build it. Now all these buttons and things, these are built out of widgets that TiddlyWiki supports. Okay, Okay, so I got a list of samples, and in this case, we've got a macro that you can call. This is list links, and it takes the tag TW sample, which I've arbitrarily decided, and it has a type of the TiddlyWiki format. And notice down here, you've got some entries where you can add custom fields to your wiki pages. One thing that I've always been frustrated with regular wikis is it doesn't do a very good job about structured data. It's great with text, you can link things together, but when you start talking about consistency and capturing data fields between pages, it doesn't do a great job. But TiddlyWiki allows you to add custom fields. So here I'm pulling in anything that's got a tag of a TW sample. So I'll save that. And notice I've got this list here. Now, it's identical to the list that I've got above here, just coincidentally. But in addition to filtering, you can also have filter operators like sort. So if you look at this list here, I think it's already sorted, but demo fail, right? So I've added in the sort operator, and you can see that there. It allows you to filter and modify the search criteria. So what you can do is, rather than typing up these long lists yourself, you can basically form queries within the wiki that pull in other content based on criteria you set up. So really, you begin to develop this momentum around, I can build things in the wiki. Now, again, with other wikis, you are editing a page and you go to another page and another page. I believe MediaWiki now features transclusion, which is another feature that MediaWiki has, or I'm sorry, TiddlyWiki. And basically what that allows you to do is, with a certain syntax, you can include other content. So in the middle of your wiki tiddler, you're including other pieces into the process. Okay, so I'll cancel that one. As I mentioned, you can do user interface elements, like the build it button here. The syntax is right there, and we can create a new one from that. So that syntax that was shown there is now going to be an actual button. So if I wanted to add another sample, I can do that.
Jeff, where did you say all the content is stored?
Oh, that's a good question. If you're using it in browser mode, it's all stored within itself. It's actually considered what's called a quine. Has anybody read that term? Q-U-I-N-E. Yeah. It's a program that can output itself. It's kind of a mind bender, but basically, TiddlyWiki and an instance of it can save its entire self, and it can also render its entire self. So basically, this is built with JavaScript and HTML. If I were to go into the system elements here, actually this is the control panel. Let's say tools, more. You can actually do a lot of importing. I can import images into the TiddlyWiki, and it actually encodes them. So you're not storing a separate image file. It's actually encoded in maybe Basic 4 or something. And then the great thing about it is it lets you see everything in it. So if you want to know how it's made, you just go into one of these and you look at it. So we've got things like modules. Okay, so these are system modules, and there's something called a shadow tiddler, which means that it's kind of lurking beneath the surface, and you can change it and override it if you want, but they warn you when you do. They say, hey, you can touch this, but it's your responsibility. So you're about to edit one, and if you want to upgrade, you might regret it later, but okay. So I say okay, and now I see inside the modules inside TiddlyWiki itself. So you can customize all day long. It does support a plugin model, so let me show you a couple of those. The full version comes, if you download the full edition, it comes with all the plugins and all the languages. It is localizable. I'm going to show you real quickly one of the things that I'm doing with it myself. This is a tab dialog that I created in TiddlyWiki using the markup. And what I'm using it for is to compose Neo4j queries out of things that I enter into TiddlyWiki. So it's kind of like a miniature CMS with custom fields, and then I can derive queries from that. So if I go to, say, I've got a country tag or such, I can actually generate a cipher query out of there just by using transclusion and creating formats that render this. It's kind of like a macro. So let's go back here. So all this to say that I'm using this to rewrite cbusdev.com. So I'll go ahead and show you that. So I hit the home button, and if you notice, it's got the cbusdevs.com background. I generated it with LinkPad, so I'm a loyal .NET person there. And now we've got user groups, kind of the same content that we had before, listings, but now I can edit it so easily, because if you look at the old site, okay, so there's the old site, and it looks, okay, it doesn't look great. It looks great on the surface. It's my designer skills, but what about editing? Well, guess how I had to edit this? I had to edit it the hard way, right? I'm using Vim and Linux, and, you know, hey, you want to add a user group? Well, let's go in and YYP and :WQ and all that stuff, right? So now that's over, because I can now, it actually also runs in Node.js, as I said, and you can use command line tools to render the content. So, all right, so now we've got user groups. We got the CentralOhio.NET users group. And notice it's opening up new sections in the wiki. I never leave the page. It's a single page application. It has tag support. So if I wanted to add a tag to the .NET user group, I can put new here and just add that and save it. Now, obviously CONDG is not new, but if there was new content that I wanted to feature, as I have with then the Pro City Code Crackers, I can go ahead and tag things. And the behavior for a tag is very cool. You click on it, and it gives you the list of all the things that share that tag. And then if you want to define, let's say I wanted to create a Tiddler called user group, I could click that, and notice it's in italics, which means it doesn't exist yet. And it says, missing Tiddler user group, click to create. So if I wanted to create it, I could, and then do that. So now these custom fields, I'll give you a quick combination example of how I can, let's go to that one. .NET user group, if I edit it, notice I've got these fields down here. I've got the abbreviation, the location, Twitter handle. So I've put these custom fields within the wiki. And then I can choose to render them using transclusion, which if I want to render a field using transclusion, it's the double bang symbol. Okay. And then quick, one of the really cool things about it is much like things like Angular and those kind of things, it uses real-time binding with edit controls. So if I slide down to one of these, okay. So Worldvax FC Connect, right? So if I'm, I don't know how to drag it below, but okay, so if I go down to Worldvax here, and I don't want just HTTP, I want it to say something nice, I can use the wiki syntax, and I can say our website. And notice I haven't hit save or anything, because these are bound. I think it should pick it up in a moment here. Okay, so the reason it didn't do that is because it's not reading the field. So if I put in URL, it's going to read the field now, which notice that edit in another tiddler actually bound dynamically to the field that's in this tiddler. Okay, so now it's pulling the content that I edited. All right, great. Just to give you another quick idea of things that I'm adding to C+ Devs. Used to be user groups, conferences, and gatherings. I've added podcasts like the Talking Devs and Cross-Cutting Concerns, Matt Groves. Talking Devs, I can embed sample content. It doesn't render here because it's offline. I'm also using this for tracking relationships. It supports a D3 plugin, which I have also used personally to incorporate the force-directed graph memory. So that's good. So any questions?
What about like data extraction? I played around with things like this before, but it was so clunky to try to extract the data
Yeah.
that was useful that I just gave up.
Okay. It does support export, so if you put data in, you can get it back out. If you want to find out more, you can go to TiddlyWiki.com. That's TiddlyWiki.com. So thank you very much. And I'm at Zagronaut. If you want to contact me with more content to put on the website, that is right there. It's spelled Xagronaut. Let me know if you want